Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I am breaking out of my shell once again today, and here I am. I'm talking about um, sharing information on how I am on my debt-free journey. And I wanted to come on today and kind of talk about sacrifices. If you've watched a couple of my videos, you know that I have been talking about um, following the Dave Ramsey Baby Steps program. And so the reason that I'm talking about this is because many people feel like that program is not um, a good program for us being black people. So I came across a video probably a couple of weeks ago that really talked about, um, one woman said that the program was not for us because he can't relate to us, because he grew up white and privileged, which was not the truth, but that was her stance, that our community wouldn't be able to do the Baby Steps program. It's not something that he meant for us, which is kind of silly because there's a lot of things in this world that wasn't meant for us, but we used it anyway. Let me just go by saying I'm not anti-black, I'm not anti-white, I'm not any of that. I just want to speak to a demographic of our people because um, I decided that I didn't want to be in debt anymore. And so the debt, um, when I was looking to get out of debt, um, of course you go to YouTube and you find all sorts of information could uh, that could benefit you in life, whatever you want. You want to fix something, you go to YouTube. You want to learn something, there's just tons of information on YouTube, right? And so I went on YouTube several months back and um, I found Dave Ramsey on that program. And so I just wanted to kind of get on and talk to you about a couple of things that he said. Um, Now, Dave Ramsey does base his program on biblical or Bible principles. And I just want to tell you that the Bible is practical for everyday life. The Bible is not a science book, it's not a health book, it's not a book about money, but it does have information within the pages of the Bible and principles within the pages of the Bible that help us um, to deal with all sorts of everyday life experiences. And it's a book from God. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so I truly believe in the Bible. That's something that I base my life on. So um, I do understand the principles of the Bible, and so what he primarily states is, as far as debt is that we should never go into debt. Um, and he bases that on the scripture: the borrower is a slave to the lender, and it's actually factual from Proverbs. I think it's 22. Um, I'm not. I gotta look it up, but that's what he quotes all the time in most of his programs. I watch him on YouTube. I listen to the YouTube channel. I listen to the live calls. So with that being said, we talk about when they talk about people in our community that the program doesn't work for us per se. Um, let's talk about sacrifices, because the program can work, but it can only work for those who are willing to make sacrifices. And so when I do my Bible reading each day, there's always something that I'm looking to get out of it that I can apply to my life. And because I am on this debt-free journey, I always pick up things that deal with debt, deal with anxiety, deal with discipline, things of that nature. So there was one scripture that I came across in the book of Proverbs, and it's Proverbs chapter 21, verse 17. And I'm going to just read it because this is something that deals with sacrifices, right? And I'm going to tell you that it was hard for me to figure out where I was going to get the money to start to pay off my nearly 50K in debt, right? Um, I'm not making six figures or anything of that nature, so I started a business. Um, I do Walmart, Spark Delivery, Instacart, DoorDash, different things like that. And I was thinking I'm never going to get out of debt. So every time, you know, um, debt collector call or I receive the debt um, a notice in the mail, I just toss it to the side because I'm like I can't deal with that. I'm never going to be able to do it. But when I found Dave Ramsey's program, it made a lot of sense to me. Um, so the scripture that stuck out to me when I was reading the other day, it says, the one who loves a good time will come to poverty. The one who loves wine and oil will not grow rich. So the basic meaning of that scripture is if you're putting having a good time, partying, and everything before taking care of your responsibilities, paying off your debt, living paycheck to paycheck, then that's the one that says that will come to poverty. And that's wisdom there because many of us um, have a point in our have a problem. So what we do is many of us we spend money. We want to go to the concert. We want to go on vacation. We want to go to the good restaurants. We want to go to the club. We want to have the best clothing, the name brand clothes. We want to have the fancy cars. We want to go to the liquor store and get the wine or the Patron or whatever it is you drink. You want to celebrate. You want to celebrate your birthday. You want to celebrate Christmas. You want to celebrate um, your anniversary. You want a girls trip. You want a guys trip. You want all of these things, and you can't afford to do it, right? And so that's why that scripture says the one that loves a good time is going to come to poverty because they're putting that good time above their finances, um, above paying their bills, getting out of debt, above planning for the future. And so that's typically what that scripture is talking about. Love and wine. We like to hang out, at the bars and the clubs and the casinos and, whatever. We like to, as the young folks put it, turn up. I mean, let's just face it. We want to turn up. That's what our culture has come to. They want to turn up, but they're not thinking 20 or 30 or 40 years down the line when that turn up money could have made you hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars, could have set you up for life, um, or it could set you up for later on in life where you can make those decisions about going on a trip, on a vacation, or going to a concert, or doing something to enjoy yourself, and not having to worry about how you're going to pay your bills. So it's about sacrifice. And that's what Dave Ramsey talks about. He talks about making a sacrifice. And he ain't just talking to other cultures. He's talking to all cultures. If you make this sacrifice, you can, how does he put it? If you live like no one else, then you can live like no one else. And you think does that make sense? This is what he means. If you live like no one else is living today, meaning if you're sacrificing the joy and the happiness and the parties today while everybody else is out doing it, then you can live like no one else in the future by being able to be out enjoying yourself, going on vacation and partying or whatever else you want to do, but without the strain or the headache of being broke, right? You've got savings, you've got investments, you've got your home, you've got your car, you've got all the things that you need in place, um, and and so when you go on that trip, you're not trying to make payments or put it on a credit card and pay it off later and keep up with the Joneses, right? So that's his advice, make the sacrifice. So on my debt-free journey, I thought about that. Um, you know, I want I'm one that want to go get my nails and my toes done. I'm not much anymore about getting, hair weaves and braids and all that stuff. As you can see, I did get my hair braided up because it's hot. So, but it costs a couple of dollars to do that, and I just put that in my budget, and it doesn't cost much. But that the nail appointment every 2 to 3 weeks, which was costing anywhere from $80 to $120. Cut that out. Put that towards that 50K that I owe, right? So that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make over the next however long it takes. My goal is uh, anywhere from a year to a year and a half to get this 50K knocked off. So I'm going to be talking about some things that I'm doing in order to come up with the money, some things that I'm cutting out in order to come up with the money to pay off debt and be on my debt-free journey. So I just want to say this to our culture, to our community. It's the program is for sure able to work out for us. It's just how much are you willing to sacrifice, right? What are you willing to give up to get to that goal? Because anybody knows, I grew up in Detroit, and I grew up in the Livernois, Davidson, Dexter area. And during the time I grew up, there were a lot of working class families there. There were families that were welfare families, and I was one of the welfare families. We were clean, um, we ate, but my mother didn't teach me about budgeting or anything of that nature because there was nothing to budget. The government was paying our bills, the government was feeding us. So I didn't learn financial literacy at home, and I didn't learn it at school. And so I abused credit, I abused finances, I didn't know how to budget. And so that community that I grew up in, um, a lot of us are growing up in those communities. But just because you're in that community, and you may be in a working class family, or you may be in a low income or welfare family, but just because you're there doesn't mean that this program doesn't work for you. You can still make sacrifices because most of y'all, if y'all live in those communities, the liquor store is not going out of business. The nail salons are not going out of business. The beauty supply stores are not going out of business. Why? Because we buy liquor, because we buy beauty supplies, because we buy clothing stores, because we get our nails done and our hair done. So none of those things are going out of business because we keeping them alive, trying to look like someone or keep up with someone. You know, the eyelashes, the face beats. It's all about sacrifice. You can change it. You can change it. You can follow Dave Ramsey's program. So I'm trying to look or and encourage the community that I came from, um, into looking into the Dave Ramsey program. And even if it's not Dave Ramsey, look into getting yourself out of debt. Um, but if you don't have the tools, like I didn't have the tools that I needed until I came across that program, if you don't have the tools, then you use someone else's tools. That's all it is. I mean, there's a lot of things that weren't cut out for us. I mean, there was a time that we couldn't go to to school. There was a time that we couldn't get into colleges. Those things weren't created for us. But if you think about that, how many colleges are we in now? How much education and people from our community made it to these colleges, made it to careers. So to say that something is not for us is disingenuous. So I just wanted to jump on and share that message with you today. Make the sacrifice. Like and subscribe to my channel. Share it. Drop a comment. What kind of sacrifice can you make, or are you willing to make to get out of debt? How much debt are you in if you want to share that? Um, have you always been in debt? Are you tired of it? Comment below. Let me know what's going on in your life. Let's build a community. Let's get it together. Let's help each other. So I appreciate you jumping in, breaking out of my shell again today, and you guys have a great one.